Nike is in a free fall, and here's why. This past week, their star high jumper Mutaz Barshim, who is a previous Olympic and world champion, just announced that he is no longer going to be competing for Nike and decided to take his talents over to Puma. This is continuing a trend that Nike has been seeing, where many of their top-level athletes have decided not to compete under the check mark and have gone to other pastures. Some other stars that have recently announced they're no longer competing for Nike include Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah, Sandi Morris, Renaud Lavillenie, Ronnie Baker, Isaiah Harris, and more. Not only this, but it appears that they have also struggled with signing some of the top talent coming out of college. This previous year, they were able to sign one massive athlete with Melissa Jefferson. She's your indoor 60-meter champion as well as your outdoor 100 champion for both the NCAA and USA's. If I'm working for Nike, I think now would be a good time to start panicking. We're seeing many of our top-level talents decide to jump ship and go to other companies, and we're having a difficult time starting to sign and bring talent to the table, including Anna Hall, Joe Fahnbulleh, Trey Cunningham, Cherokee Young, Abby Steiner, Mario Garcia-Romo, Champion Allison, and much, much more. It's understood that Nike has what is called a reduction clause. What's a reduction clause, you might ask? Well, it means that Nike has the ability to take away from your earnings if you don't run certain times, don't compete at certain meets, or don't make championship teams. This means if an athlete has a slight down year or doesn't qualify for the team that they know they should have, they could see a reduction in their overall pay. And of course, Nike has a ton of athletes, not just in track and field, but across all of athletics. So unless you're one of those top 1 or 2 performers, there's a good chance that you may not be getting pushed as heavily as if you competed under another brand such as Puma, Asics, Adidas, or New Balance. So does this mean that Nike is now in trouble and they're no longer going to be the top dog? Of course not. I think Nike will be just fine when it comes to the long-term health of track and field, but it does mean they may have to start looking at the way they are structuring their contracts with these top-level athletes if running is important to them. Does this mean that they may no longer focus on having such a wide brand of signing so many athletes and just really dial in on a smaller amount of athletes and competitors? Or could there be a completely new restructuring? We do know, and I have to give credit to Nike for their signings last year, because their last year had a lot of top-level talent, including Athing Mu, Cooper Teare, Cole Hocker, Twanisha Terry, Anna Cockrell, and much, much more. So, while this year is a slight down year for them, they did have a big signing last year when other brands may not have had as many athletes joining the team. It's interesting because I've heard a lot of mixed things when it comes to Nike's branding overall. Some athletes, of course, love the branding, think that it's great, and you have the biggest brand, the biggest face of athletics repping you and on your back, and things work really, really well. For others, it's not so much like that and may not see the value as heavily or may not think that the relationship is as good. Of course, you're going to have different responses from different athletes when it comes to pay, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to how the brand treats you overall. So really, it changes from person to person, of course, because everyone's an individual, but I'm interested to see how this mass exodus of athletes is going to shape their branding as a whole. Because if you're having world champions, if you're having Olympic champions, record holders, fastest people in the world leaving your brand all within the last year, other athletes and other people notice that. And so I think that plays into a factor on why they haven't signed as many top-level athletes this year. So I believe they'll probably look at things and say, wait a minute, we're Nike. We're the biggest brand in the entire world. Everyone knows who we are, and we are used to signing everyone. And this year, they've signed one top-level talent, an extremely talented athlete who has the ability to do very, very well in Melissa Jefferson, but they're used to having 3, 4, 5 athletes going to them. And when we look at how this could impact the sprinting, this could have long-standing effects on how the sprinting, how track and field and Nike are partnered, because obviously they have a very tight partnership when it comes to USA track and field and with a lot of these universities. But right now we're seeing one after one after one domino just fall. And so I'm wondering, are they going to start, pumping the brakes and saying, hey, look, we got to change some stuff up, because clearly whatever they're doing right now isn't working, because athletes appear to not be happy with the way that Nike is treating them, or the way the contracts are set up, or whatever it might be. So I'm interested to see how they might change. We're seeing a lot of changes right now, and I'm interested to see what's going to continue. Are we going to continue in this way where more and more athletes are leaving the Nike brand and leaving this behemoth when it comes to the running space? Or are they going to change something up and start to acquire more and more athletes? Because something that I've noticed, you see a lot of athletes that'll go from Nike to Adidas, or from Nike to Puma, or from Nike to New Balance, but you very, very rarely will see an athlete go from Adidas, Puma, Asics to Nike. Very, very few. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I mean, looking at some other major names who have left not so recently, but you had Allyson Felix, who was the face of Nike and left due to the way that she was treated. And that all plays a huge factor in who's going to be competing under your brand. They see that the face of women's sprinting decided, no, the relationship that I'm having right now with my, the baby that I'm having, I don't like the way that you're treating me in these regards. So I'm leaving. I'm creating my own brand. And so I'm wondering what's going to be coming up next, because I feel there has to be something. There has to be a change for them when they're watching all of these top level talents decide, I'm going to go elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see how they react to this situation. It's crazy to think, but summer is finally over. If you don't want to be looking crazy on your first day back to school or on your first day back to fall training, the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped, has you covered. Manscaped just sent me their brand new performance package, which comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Look, I've tried a lot of razors in my day, but the Lawnmower 4.0 is just different. Its ceramic blade helps reduce grooming accidents, LED light allows you to shave anytime, anywhere, and since it's waterproof, you can even take it in the shower if you want. You know what they say, look good, feel good, run good. If you want to show up to fall training and dominate like a beast, make sure you use code TWN at checkout when shopping with Manscaped and have an awesome fall training. We'll see you there. Up next, I want to talk about Lausanne, and there are 3 competitions that I want to go over. The women's 100, the men's 200, and then the men's pole vault. So for the women's 100, Aleia Hobbs ended up getting the win with a time of 10.87, followed by Shericka Jackson, 10.88, Talou, 10.89, Tamari Davis, 10.94, Twanisha Terry, 11.13, Kambuji, 11.15, Natita Cito at 11.41. Now, there are 2 names that are not on this list that we believed were supposed to be competing. One, Shelly Ann Frayser Pryce. She ended up doing a DNS. She did not start. She said that she was having some hamstring trouble and decided not to run. It wasn't worth it. And then Elaine Thompson-Herah, she got DQ'd, false start on the line. And so 2 of these women that we were expected to go head to head, they were all three Jamaicans were lined up right next to each other in the center of the track. 2 of them aren't able to compete, and so we end up seeing Aleia Hobbs getting the dub and the win in a very, very close race. Obviously, the top 3 athletes separated by 0.02 on the scale. It was very, very close. And looking at these races and where I think the next half of this season is going to go, I don't think we're going to be seeing too many fast times out of this. I mean, Aleia Hobbs gets a win, 10.87, no slouch of a time, but I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing any of these crazy fast, like 10.7s, 10.6s outside of maybe Shelly Ann. I think Shelly Ann could still run in the 10.6s depending on how bad this hamstring pull was or whatever this issue is. I think she could still do well. But outside of that, I think it's going to be a lot just based off of the competition. Who can beat who, rather than what the time is. And this race, while the time wasn't crazy fast, the competition was, and it looked really good. Happy for Aleia Hobbs to get the W there, and so interested to see how that's going to continue into the Diamond League final. Diamond League final is still very close, looking to be in, Zurich? So there's one more Diamond League meet next in Brussels, and then we're going to be heading on over to the finals. On the men's side of the 200, so Noah Lyles ended up getting the win with a 10.9 19.56. Michael Norman second with, with a 19.56. Michael Norman second with a 19.76. Jareem Richards third, 19.79. Alexander Ogandu, 20.09. Andrew Hudson, 20.09. Arian Knighton, 2013. Joseph Famboule, 2033. And Charles Dobson, 2034. And so this was a very close race in between Noah Lyles and Michael Norman. For a long time, it looked like Michael Norman might end up catching him. He came off the curve looking good, but Noah Lyles was able to hold him off through the second half of the race and end up getting the win, extending his winning streak another meet. And so this is making me think, I'd like to see Michael Norman running in a lot more 200s here, because I think he has some real talent. And look, world championships, he should be doing it. I don't know why he's just focusing in on this 4. Let's extend this to the 200, because I mean, he came up really close on the 200-meter champion, and it looks like if he gets a little bit more of the speed training, focuses a little bit more on the 200, I see no reason why he couldn't challenge Noah Lyles and he couldn't challenge Kenny Bednarik and all these other guys at the 200-meter race, because this was very, very close for him, and I would love to see him competing in it a little bit more. Now, Arian Knighton, he dropped down a little bit, and so I think what we're seeing with Arian Knighton and Joe Famboule, the season's just really, really long. These guys have been, Arian Knighton, he's still 18 years old. We have to keep that in mind. So, you know, where were you at 18? Would you be able to do all these competitions? Yes, you're a professional, but I think it just kind of weighs on you a little bit. Joe, he's been racing since, what, December, January. He's had a very, very long season, and so I'm not looking too much into those races. They'll be back. They'll be looking good. Jareem Richards, though, he solid with his 1995. Overall, you know, solid performances for them. Just like I said with the women, I don't think we're going to be seeing many crazy times dropping after this. I think it's going to be more of a focus when it comes to, okay, who's going to win the competition? Who's going to come out on top, rather than who's going to run a 19.3, who's going to run a 19.2. I think we'll get fast times. 19.56, no slouch of a time. If this happened in the beginning of the year, we'd be like, oh man, we're due for something crazy, because that would have been Noah Lyles' second fastest time ever in the beginning of this season. But just seeing off of the fact of, you know, we've reset the bar, everything's been recalculated. I don't know if we're going to see one of those crazy times, but I think we can still see some really, really good things throughout the year. On the men's pole vault, Mondo Duplantis wins with a 10.10. This was his 53rd time over 6 meters. So he ran 6.1, jumped 6.1 for the 53rd time. And what I want to talk about here, less just Mondo's complete and utter dominance over the pole vault, because actually over the past, since pole vaulting began, there have been 95 athletes that have jumped 6 meters or higher. And Mondo has accounted for 24%, nearly 25% of every single jump outdoors over 6 meters. That's insane. This guy is just on another level, and he's only been doing that for 5 years, compared to when you look at Sergei Bubka, who jumped for 20 years. He had been pole vaulting for 20 years, and he had it 29% of the time. So this guy, Mondo, he's got a really bright future ahead of him. But what I want to talk about more is the fact that the atmosphere for this meet was amazing. There were fans right up near it. There was music, there was lights, it was a great environment. It was outside, really cramped and an exciting place to pole vault, and that's what I think pole vaulting needs. I don't think pole vaulting needs track and field the way that many other events do. I think pole vaulting can be a standalone sport that is just as exciting, if not more, than other competitions, because you can put it in unique situations that have people right up on the pit with music blaring and everything. Like, that's what makes pole vaulting great, because you're having this awesome environment, versus when you go and put it in a track, like everybody's sitting far behind and you're watching other events, you're not seeing everything go down. Where when you have a street vault or a beach vault competition, or you put it in a mall or whatever it might be, you have people that are right next to it, and it's an intimate environment and it's exciting, and we see really great jumps coming out of it, and you're able to really utilize that personality. And so I'm hoping that we just see more of those, as pole vaulting should realize, hey, look, we don't need to be competing just like everything else here. And I like that they put this the day before of Lausanne. So it was the day before, it was outside, it wasn't in the track. I think this is a good idea. We're seeing a similar thing at Brussels when it comes to the shot put. They're putting the shot put the day before. It'll probably be in a street environment like this where you can have more people closer to the event. And I think that's the way to go when it comes to track and field and when it comes to these field events, because doing all of this, making it a better environment, I think that's better for everybody that's competing, all these athletes, and should be a good time to watch. Now finally, let's preview Brussels. So we don't have much that is out yet by the time that we're recording, so this is going to be happening this upcoming Friday, but we will be seeing Sha'Carri Richardson, Shelly Ann Frayser Pryce, Dina Asher Smith, and Toulouse all going at it at the women's 100. And so this brings the question, what are we going to be seeing from Sha'Carri Richardson? This is her big return. So she hasn't ran in over 2 months. It was at the US Championships on June 23rd. That's the last time that she ran the 100. And then June 26th, the last time that she ran the 200 at the USA Championship. So it's been a long time since she's been able to compete, while obviously these other women have been competing on the circuit very consistently since then. And so many people are wondering, how is she going to fare? Now, as you all know, I'm a big Sha'Carri Richardson fan, so I'm excited to see her compete, and I would love to see how she does and if she's able to stay competitive with these women, because when you are away from the sport for that long, we know how difficult it can be coming back. And nobody knows what her training has been because we're not in those practices. We don't know what's going on. She doesn't broadcast her life too often when it comes to the track and field thing. She's very private with that, and that's to each one and every person's discretion. Like, you don't have to broadcast your life because you're in the spotlight already enough. So for her, I would probably be the same way. It's like, look, you guys know about my life already too much. I'm not going to be broadcasting even more of that. And so she's coming back to the track, going up against these 3 women who are all running at pretty much the fastest they ever have. Like Shelly Ann, she's running in the 10.6s consistently. And so Toulouse, she's going into those 10.7s, same with Dina Asher Smith. And so if I'm to make a prediction on what I think is going to be going on, I said before, I think we're going to get a 10.9 performance for her. If she can beat any of these 3 women, I think that's a really good place to be. So if she can come top 3, that would be looking really, really good. So I'd say if I'm putting a floor and a ceiling for everything, I'd say the floor is probably going to be like an 11.1. I'd say the ceiling is going to be a 10.8. I'd say that, so it's going to be anywhere from a 10.8 to an 11.1 is what we're going to be getting. And so it's interesting how there's going to be a lot of discussion, and there's always a lot of heated arguments on should Sha'Carri be getting this excitement, should she be getting all of this talk, even though she hasn't won a major championship or anything like that. And my response to that would be yes, because people are interested in her. If she shouldn't be getting all of this talk and all of this information, why do people continue to talk about her? So it's like, oh, she doesn't deserve all of this, this recognition. There's other athletes that are faster, blah, 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 blah. Well, you're still commenting that on her video. Whenever I do videos on other athletes, I don't see a whole bunch of comments on, oh my God, why are you talking about ABC, XYZ? Even though they're not the best, they haven't won a major championship. We don't see any of those discussions. But when you talk about her, now all of a sudden people are like, oh, no, you can't do that. And so I think there's a lot of people that are annoyed with her personality and annoyed with, how the performance can be a little bit of a roller coaster sometime. Personally, I love it. I talk about it all the time. I think this is the personality traits that we need more of in track and field, because we need more people that are outgoing with their personality and are just who they are. I don't want you to be, loud and excitement, have all of this, brashness if that's not who you are. I want you to be who you are, which means I know there are more people that have this personality type that just aren't broadcasting it. And so I would like to see that, because we need more of that type of stuff. Like, every good movie needs to have a hero, it needs to have a villain. And if you remember in The Dark Knight, most of the people's favorite character is the Joker, the villain in the movie. And so I think that it's okay and it should be embraced to have these types of athletes that just embrace kind of the villain aspect of things. You know, Otto Bolden was talking about that. Like, look at LeBron when he went to Miami, or Kevin Durant throughout like his entire career, Kyrie Irving. Like, these are some people that, and athletes that are a Draymond Green type. Like, these are athletes that have kind of embraced that villain type of their personality, Patrick Beverley. And because of that, they have grown this large following because they've embraced this aspect of their life of, no, not everyone has to like me. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I'm going to talk trash, and I'm going to be good. And I think we need more levels of that. And if that means that that's what Sha'Carri is going to start embracing, man, I fully support it, because that's what I love when it comes to sports. I love the conflict, and I love the conflict resolution and the issues that we have all interplay, because that's what makes sports fun. And so if we can see more of that, I'm all for it. The Sha'Carri versus Jamaica, USA versus Jamaica, it's all exciting to me, and that's what I want more of. So it'll be interesting to see how she's gonna respond to this championship, because it's also major for her. If she performs well, she'll have a spot when it comes to the Diamond League final. If she doesn't perform well, she won't be in the Diamond League final. She's now in 9th position, and so if she does well, she'll be able to hop on up and potentially be in there. If she doesn't, she's not in there. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because it's only the top 8 go. Right now she's in 9th. So I'm rooting for her. I'm hoping that she does well. Man, if she pulls off a crazy upset, if she beats Shelly Ann Frayser Pryce, if she does, I would be talking so much trash. I don't know how ready you would be if that happens, but I'd be talking so much trash if she does. But we will see all of that in due time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want more content, follow us over on Instagram at Track World News. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, and let us know all of your feelings on this. That's going to do it from us here. Have a good one. Peace.